This week, you unveiled a list of 12 desirable coaches for the Dolphins.
I call them 12 desirable. 12.
Right. Here we go.
Sexy names. And I broke them up in categories.
Okay. So a couple of them you'd have to trade to get.
Yes.
So the two that you have at the top of your list to trade to get, Marvin Lewis, the Bengals head coach.
Love him.
And Sean Payton, the Saints head coach.
Here's
why is this smart?
Okay. Here's why, and I'll start with Marvin Lewis, because to me, I have been a fan of Marvin Lewis from the beginning of covering the NFL. His defenses, they're exotic. You can't figure out whether he's in a 3-4, if he's in a 4-3. His offense is always efficient, runs the ball, physical. Sometimes they lose to bad matchups. The Dolphins used to be a bad matchup during Tony Sparano. Their teams were more physical than Marvin Lewis's teams, so they didn't win. Has not won a playoff game, but 5 straight playoff appearances for the Cincinnati Bengals with a rookie quarterback when Andy Dalton was a rookie quarterback. Marvin Lewis and the Bengals, look at his coaching staff, look at his coaching tree. His coaches always go on and do great things, and then they win with less than anybody else. They're not paying free agents. They're losing their free agents. They just make the best of what they have with the draft and maximize what they have. And I think that if you put him with an owner like Steve Ross, who will give him the resources, who will not cut corners like the Bengals do, I think he could take off and you can have a tremendous amount of success. Sean Payton is another coach. Don't know if New Orleans is going to fire him. Probably needs to. He's run his course there in New Orleans. What makes me uncomfortable about Sean Payton, and we've talked about this in this show, is that he's got full control of the New Orleans Saints and has had full control of the New Orleans Saints. Decides who they draft, decides who they sign, decides who they trade for, decides who they trade. Jimmy Graham, was that a smart trade? I say no.
No.
They are a disaster from a cap standpoint. Salary cap, the books, horrendous. Sean Payton did it. Defense, Sean Payton did it.
Yeah.
He decided who the coordinator was. He decided who stays as coordinator. But the one thing about Sean Payton that you got to like if you're a Dolphins fan is he's on the Bill Parcells tree. So is Mike Tomlin. They've got a good relationship. That relationship can work. Mike Tannenbaum. Mike Tannenbaum can do the things that Sean Payton is not good at. Vice versa. And Sean Payton has developed quarterbacks. He's got a long-standing history of developing quarterbacks. We just so happen to have a quarterback that needs some developing.
Right. But like you said, two things that are hugely getting in the way of that. If the Bengals win a playoff game, they're not getting rid of Marvin Lewis.
Yes.
And Sean Payton,
I would trade for him. I would give up.
But the Bengals don't. I don't think the Bengals are going to trade him. If they win a playoff game,
it don't matter. If I offer that organization, the Browns, a first-round pick from Bengals, yes, they're owned by the Brown family. Right. If I offer them a first-round pick for Marvin Lewis, you think they're going to say no?
You would do that?
I would.
Okay.
I would. And the reason that I would is because I'm tired of having guessing games about this coaching staff and how good they can be and what they can do. I know Marvin Lewis can coach. And what have we needed down here? Do you need a coach or do you need a first-round pick? Because the last first-round picks, I can count, haven't been that good.
No, they haven't. Okay, let's take your look at your 3 college coaches. Gary Patterson from TCU, David Shaw from Stanford, Jim Mora Jr. from UCLA. Who's your favorite?
Gary Patterson, no question about it. I'm obsessed with Gary Patterson. People inside the NFL circles, people inside college circles tell you he is the best coach in football, in general. One of them, top 5. Look at what he's done at TCU. At first, I knew about Gary Patterson when the University of Miami had interest in him when they were hiring Randy Shannon. The University of Miami lowballed him in terms of how much they were offering. He said, thanks, no thanks. I'm good where I'm at. And he has built one of college football's best powers at one of college football's smaller schools and has consistently won, consistently developed talent. Defensive coach runs an innovative offense. Coaches line up to go want to be part of what he's doing. That's when you know you've got to learn from him. That's when you know you've got somebody special. And that individual, if he's ready and willing to leave TCU, he needs to be called up to the NFL. And some bold owner needs to make that decision and make that call up.
All right, let's look at your rebound candidates. Bengals offensive coordinator Hugh Jackson.
Yes.
Patriots offensive coordinator Josh McDaniel. Steelers offensive coordinator Todd Haley. Colts offensive coordinator Rob Chudzinski. These are 4 guys that have been head coaches before.
Not just them, but also Jim Mora Jr.
And Jim Mora Jr.
Jim Mora Jr. is also in the rebound category. He's in the college coaching category because he's coached at UCLA, and he's had pretty good success at UCLA, showing that he can actually coach. And then he had some success in the NFL with the Atlanta Falcons. Now, he had 1 season with the Seattle Seahawks. Was not a very good tenure, but here's why I like the rebound category. This is my favorite category of all categories. 1, you don't have to give up a draft pick like the trade guys. 2, you don't have to go into the mystery of whether or not they can coach grown men, which is a requirement for the NFL. Nick Saban could not coach grown men. If you have a massive ego, you're going to struggle with dealing with an Ndamukong Suh who tells you, go sit your behind down over there and do what I tell you to do.
Right.
Because there are some players who have more power than the coaches, and Ndamukong Suh just so happens to be one. But the rebound guys, they've failed, they've learned from their failures, they've grown from their failures, and they hopefully will have figured out how to do it right the second time around. Now, the one concern I do have about the rebound candidates is guys like Josh McDaniel, guys like Todd Haley, even Rob Chudzinski at some levels, they have done it with elite quarterbacks on their as coordinators. I'm uncomfortable with any coach, Cam Cameron, who is propped up by an elite quarterback and elite talent around him. It makes me scary because when you don't have elite talent, you might struggle.
And I've been saying it for a while. Just because you're a good coordinator doesn't mean that you're going to be a great head coach. And then real quick, because we're running out of time, your 3 NFL assistants, Mike Shula from the Panthers, Casey Rogers from the Jets, Ray Horton from the Titans. These are 3 more guys.
Those
you
are.
like them?
I like them because they fit the Todd Bowles mold in terms of guys who have waited, done their time, put in their work, just need that opportunity. And when they get that opportunity, the Mike Zimmers of the world, when they get that opportunity, they maximize it and make the most of it. Mike Shula, former Dolphins assistant, he went on to Alabama, didn't have a great run in Alabama, has learned from it, and he's had 9 successful seasons in the NFL, primarily helping Cam Newton develop into the quarterback that he is, the MVP candidate. Now, Casey Rogers, we know here from the Dolphins, dynamic defensive line coach, is proving now with the Jets he is a good defensive coordinator. He's done his time in the NFL, deserves an opportunity, and I know he's a leader of men because everybody loves Casey Rogers, including myself. And then Ray Horton is another guy that fits the bill in terms of a guy who's put in that time, put in that work. He's played. The one thing I've realized from Dan Campbell is players want to play for players who have played. They will run through a wall for a guy. The one thing I've learned from Dan Campbell is if you don't want to go have a drink with a guy after work, then you're probably not going to want to play for him when times get tough.
All right. 1 sentence, what happens Monday night?
I believe that the Dolphins will win. I believe that this is their chance to finally gain some momentum, and their rally right now in the final month of the season is do it for Dan Campbell. And I think they need to win 3 or 4 games to get him this head coaching job. If you don't win this game against the Giants, it's not happening.
All right, I'm taking the Giants. I think the Giants are going to want it even more than the Dolphins want it because they are fighting for a division crown. All right, if you're watching us live, hang on. We're going to take a lot more of your questions in the chat room and also on Twitter using the hashtag XOMAR. Thanks again for watching us this week.